Well, good afternoon, everybody. Jason Laird here with Shannon Newth. We are tracking breaking news this afternoon. There has been a reported explosion at the Calumet Refinery. Evacuations are in place. We're continuing to monitor this situation. We don't have a lot of updates, but we do have a couple closure updates to bring you up to date on. Right.
At the very end of our last time we saw you, 2 schools had just put in shelter in place. Those schools right now through Great Falls Public Schools, North Middle School and Sacagawea Elementary School currently in shelter in place. We'll keep watching for updates from the school to see if any of that changes. But again, right now, shelter in place at North Middle School and Sacagawea Elementary School. We've also heard that the Montana Club evacuated, the Great Falls Animal Shelter also evacuated, and we're continuing to watch and see the Mountain View Co-op there that's across the street from the refinery is also evacuated at this time. So this all stems back from an incident that happened just about an hour ago when emergency personnel was originally called.
That's right, and we do have a reporter live on the scene right now. Joe Husinga is just up the road a little ways, or as close as he can be, with fire and police officials in place. Joe, do we have any updates from the scene, and what are you seeing out there right now?
Not getting a whole lot of updates right now. When I was first on scene, I did see water being poured onto the refinery, really at the corner of Smelter and 10th Street North there. I do not see water being poured in that same area anymore. I can't see any streams of water fighting any fire. But I will say that they are still keeping people back at a pretty far distance. And while I don't see any black smoke at this time, there have been several periods where, black smoke has been coming out of the refinery. But there does seem to be still an unusual amount of smoke that is not seeming to really come from any of the smoke stacks. While it's not black, it does still seem to be a little unusual. When I first arrived on the scene, I did see a pretty large number of Calumet employees being moved out of the refinery, sort of over into the Black Eagle area, kind of behind the Mountain View Co-op, just getting a safe distance away. So other than that, not a whole lot of updates here as far as what I'm seeing, but we'll continue to just keep watching and see what happens.
Okay. And Joe, have you been moved back any further since you've been on scene, or are you still at the same spot that you originally started at?
I have been moved back. I originally was in the Montana Club parking lot. When I was there, I was speaking with people being evacuated from that area. They said they were able to feel the force of the explosion. It shook the building, and then they saw flames shooting out from the refinery. But after that point, I was asked by police to move back from that area, so I have moved a safer distance away.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
And Joe, if you're still there, so we have not heard any reports of injuries or anything. Do you have any information on that, or have you seen any ambulances or anything on scene?
I have not seen any ambulances or heard any reports of injuries. And really, from my vantage point, I was never able to see any fire crews arriving on scene. I don't know at which point of the refinery that they were able to enter from, but from my perspective, I never actually saw any Great Falls fire crews. I have seen some Black Eagle fire crews helping block traffic, but I have not been able to see any Great Falls crews.
Okay, thanks so much, Joe. We appreciate you checking in. Stay safe out there. And again, at this point, evacuations are happening just right around the refinery area, places like Mountain View Co-op, Montana Club, a couple of schools north in Sacagawea in shelter in place right now. Up here at the station, we're not that much further north from the refinery. We have not heard any evacuations at this point further up the hill than about the animal shelter. But again, we're finding out about those through posts on social media. So if you know of anything else, please let us know. We're keeping tabs on social media. We're trying to keep up with emergency personnel as well as the refinery. As soon as they might release some information, we'll let you know of that. So again, evacuations are just coming in as we're seeing them being posted. We'll continue to update that list.
And another concern that we obviously are keeping an eye on is just the actual smoke coming out of that refinery fire right now. So we're going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Brandon Michaels right now. And Brandon, not much in the way of wind, so that is good. But what can folks expect if they are in the vicinity of the refinery and where that smoke could be headed?
Well, as we head through the day, we are expecting a pretty strong southwest wind to be developing. Now, the good news, we have not seen that develop as of yet. We've been tracking relatively light winds out of mainly the south to southwest. You can see the current wind speed 1 mile per hour, and this is from our weather station right here at KRTV, so just up the hill, so pretty much live weather conditions. You can see that's dropped down to calm, and that is a good thing because that allows that smoke, whatever may be in that smoke, we don't know, to kind of directly lift upwards. So right now, not a huge concern with that smoke blowing around, but again, as we head into the afternoon and we see these winds begin to strengthen and get a more uniform direction, we will eventually see some of that smoke and or steam begin to move off to the north and east with this southwest wind. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks, Brandon. And it does look on the iCam like some of that smoke is settling down, which that does not necessarily mean that the danger is any less. So we are going to continue monitoring this. And for the most up-to-date information, we've got our web team working on this around the clock as well. So if you have any information to pass along to us, feel free to do so on Facebook, and we can relay that to the public. And we'll obviously continue to keep you up to date on air as well.
And of course, at this point, what we have confirmed is that there was a reported explosion and possible fire at the refinery. So the rest of this has been evacuations that have come from emergency personnel responding to that reported explosion. People who were at the Montana Club saying they actually felt a shake when that happened. Again, that was about an hour ago. So everything else we're seeing so far is things that you were telling us from the scene, evacuations that we're hearing. We have not yet heard from the refinery, but emergency personnel tell us that there was a reported explosion. So we just want to keep you up to date on what we're seeing at that scene. And right now, that's just emergency crews continuing to work to secure that scene. There is traffic being rerouted and roads closed throughout the area, and a few of those businesses in the area have been evacuated. We'll continue to monitor this, and of course, like Jason mentioned, your source for continual updates is on our website, krtv.com, Facebook, Twitter.
Awesome. Well, we'll again, just to kind of reiterate a few of those closures, we do have all the roads in the vicinity of the refinery. Those are shut down. And when it comes to schools, there are precautions in place at North Middle School, Sacagawea School as well. They do have shelters in place, and we have had word that the Great Falls Animal Shelter is also on lockdown. We're not sure if that's associated with this or they did that on their own, but they are obviously monitoring this situation as well. So we'll continue to keep a very close eye on this and stay with us online for the latest updates, krtv.com.